This week on Ignition, we find out what supercar engineers dream about. Much hangs on the McLaren name. It, after all, once adorned a car that, in its day, was the fastest in the world. McLaren's no longer chasing that goal because, let's face it, what's the point in challenging the Bugatti Veyron? Instead, they've focused on creating one of the best driving and most technologically advanced supercars money can buy. The result is a car with a 7-speed twin-clutch transmission and a 3.8-liter twin-turbo V8 that develops almost 600 horsepower. The result is a car with a passenger tub made out of carbon fiber. The result is the MP4 12C. Now, for a supercar, it seems to commit a cardinal sin. It's not the most exciting looking car out there, but underneath that sheet metal, it's the Sistine Chapel. You see, the 12C is the work of a dedicated engineering team, given free rein over everything. Take the engine, for example. Being a supercar, you might expect the 12C to have some ridiculously huge racing engine that dominates the back half of the vehicle. It doesn't. You see, the quest of saving weight, its small displacement V8 is tucked way down in the back half. But this is one of the reasons why the 12C is so fast. A small engine is a light engine. Its passenger tub, too, follows a similar idea. It's made of carbon fiber, and it weighs 165 pounds. That's less than I do. In total, the 12C weighs 3,210 pounds, split 42% over the front and 58% rear. Crucially, that low weight means each horsepower has to carry just 5.4 pounds. And nowhere is the effect of that more evident than during an acceleration run. Now, because we have a 7-speed twin-clutch transmission, we also have launch control. Here's how to do it. With your left foot hard on the brake, press the active button, and then press the launch control button underneath it. It'll say launch mode active, awaiting throttle. Go hard on the gas so the revs settle about 3,000 RPM and let go of the brake. This thing is astonishingly fast. 60 miles an hour comes in 3.2 seconds. The quarter mile, 11.1 seconds at 129 miles an hour. McLaren says they're not chasing top speed, but this thing will do 200 miles an hour. It's incredible. The 12C launches so aggressively that it maintains an average longitudinal acceleration of 0.86 G through first gear. That's up to 50 miles an hour. The trick is that, in launch mode, the McLaren preloads the first 4 gear changes, and they occur so quickly that you can't even comprehend when they happen. And now for our 60-0 braking test. We're going 60 miles an hour right now, and we're going to go to a full ABS stop. McLaren's also gotten a bit tricky with braking, as the 12C uses its aerodynamics to slow down. You see, during a hard stop from 60 miles an hour, the rear wing deploys and creates drag. The wing initially deploys to 32 degrees, and with this angle set, the wing is now in the airflow, and the airflow pushes the wing up to 69 degrees. Relying on the aerodynamics to put the wing in the right position means not needing to rely on a larger motor. McLaren claims that this solution took half the weight out of the system. Such aerodynamics demand advanced suspension design, and here the 12C doesn't disappoint. The air traveling around the car pushes it downward, an effect called heave. Heave is bad, so McLaren has added something called a Z-bar, which looks like an anti-roll bar, but functions quite differently. The Z-bar connects the rear wheels in a way that resists heave, but allows the wheels to move independently of each other. This allows the engineers to use springs that are relatively soft for a supercar, making it ride more comfortably. How comfortably? Let's run the 12C over a rough patch of road. Our onboard accelerometer shows us the impacts of the ride, represented by a G average. The lower that number is, the softer the ride is. The 12C averaged 0.038 G. But in order to comprehend what that means, we need to compare it against another supercar. How about the GTR? That's an increase of 0.02 average G. The 12C is clearly much softer, but how would it compare to, say, a long wheelbase Rolls-Royce Ghost? The numbers show it. The 12C's ride is much closer to a Rolls-Royce than it is a GTR. But the truly fascinating bit is that when you put the 12C in track mode, it can ride just as firmly as the GTR. It's comfortable, yes, but now the big question is, how does it handle? Can this high-tech suspension truly deliver the best of both worlds? Let's find out in the Figure 8.
The 12C handles rather oddly for a supercar. You see, in track mode, I can turn in as hard as I want, I can enter a corner as hard as I want, and nothing bad ever happens. I can even go hard on the throttle as I exit a corner, and I'll never spin. And that's because the car is using its brakes to control the spin of each wheel. When you go in too hot, it'll drag the inside rear wheel to keep you online. The whole car will pivot around that wheel, making sure you never get in trouble. And it's breathtakingly fast. The car just inspires confidence in this mode. You can't do anything wrong. You just hold on, throw it into a corner, one-handed even, and just step on the throttle and bam, 8,000 RPM and you're hard to the next bend. But if you want to do something completely stupid, you can turn off traction control. And this is how. Come to a complete stop, end active mode, make sure the brake is on completely, press and hold the active button until it starts flashing. It takes about 10 seconds. Then you press and hold the arrow and manual buttons simultaneously. It's a bit like launching a nuclear missile. Now we have no traction control and no stability control. Do not try this at home. The McLaren becomes a completely different car with stability control off. The back end becomes extremely eager to step out. That 600 horsepower is a lot easier to get into a spin. It involves a lot more driver input than normal mode. And it's, if you're up to the task, a lot more fun. Thing is though, with the McLaren, entering a corner, I'm never sure when the brakes are going to stop. They don't inspire confidence the way the rest of the car does. Man, that engine sure does make up for it. And I can see the wing in the back flipping up as I enter a turn hard on the brakes. Without stability control, the car becomes a lot more fun, but it's also kind of worrying. It's a bit like juggling knives. You're never quite sure when you're going to land it the wrong way.
The MP4 12C is a marvel of engineering, a rolling showcase of what a group of determined and unfettered people can do. Their product is one of the world's most technologically advanced supercars, a car so capable and so willing that it can be difficult to comprehend. While it's not the most visually appealing relative to the supercar world, it's what's under the sheet metal that is so utterly astounding. The 12C pushes the definition of what a supercar can be, and there is little doubt that it does the McLaren name justice.
Got it. Got it. Done.
so hard.